to honor his life and his memory. This afternoon we gather together to support his beloved family and to remember and to honor a life that was well lived and a man who was much loved. Before we get into the service this morning, I've got a little message from Andre, our streaming guy, for the sake of those who are joining us online, and he's asked if we could just put our phones on flight mode so that it doesn't interfere with the signal that we're using to stream the service so that they're able to be with us. So thank you so much for that. I'll give you a moment. For those of you who haven't met me before, my name is Brad. I'm the pastor at a church down the road, but I've had the privilege of being Gavin's friend for a number of years, many years. We played hockey together, and Gav, it's a real honor for me to facilitate the service for you and for the family on behalf of your dad. Quinton was born on the 5th of May, 1955, and he finally left this world on the 22nd of March this year. And we'd like this afternoon to remember him and to celebrate the life that he lived, knowing that he forever lives on in our memories. Quinton was a man whose life touched those who were around him and who sought in the living of his life to give love to whomever he met. And so I'd like to begin this afternoon by reading a poem by Linda Ellis called The Dash. She says this. She said, "I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of birth, and he spoke the following date with tears. But he said what matters most was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time that they spent alive on earth. And now only those who loved them know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, or the cash. What matters is how we live and love, and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real, and always try to understand the way other people feel, and be less quick to anger and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering the special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash?" I'd like to invite us just to take a moment together to close our eyes and to remember the Quinton that you knew, the relationship that you had with him, and the way that he touched and impacted your life. We're going to get a lot more time now to share with one another some of those memories that you have of Quinton. And so I'd like to introduce, or not really introduce, but welcome Gavin up to the front, who's going to begin sharing some of the stories about his dad. Thanks, Gav.
On behalf of myself, my brother Ryan, Pamela, his daughter-in-law, and grandchildren Thomas and Megan, we welcome you all and thank you for attending and sharing in the celebration of our father's life. Special thanks to those that have traveled from afar or those that are attending via the link from all around South Africa, as well as across the United Kingdom, Australia, and New Zealand. We appreciate the efforts made. Looking around the venue, Quinton would have loved nothing else than to be here in person to greet you all and celebrate his life in person. We all know he loved a good party or celebration. Sheila and Alan Pike welcomed Quinton Lawrence Pike to the world on the 5th day of May, being the 5th month of the year, in the year 1955 at St. Joseph's in Pinelands. Being the 5th child and the 5th boy in a row, He was never going to have any other name than Quinton. And if you knew Sheila, I don't think Alan had any choice in the matter either. From the Latin name Quintus, and meaning the fifth-born child, he was so proud of his name and the story behind it. It was repeated to many a waiter, barman, or anyone that he met for the first time, or if he were just standing in his general proximity. Although technically not the middle child, this would sum up his childhood experience on the whole. He had 4 older brothers, Robin, Barry, Malcolm, and Graham, who he had to look up to for most of his childhood. And then there was his younger siblings, Nigel and Paulette, which he then bridged the gap between the older brothers. With 7 siblings in the family, this is where he spent most of his time and energy growing up. He used to reminisce that there was never a moment of solitude. There was always something happening in the house or going on with his siblings. He enjoyed the big family, including all his many uncles, aunts, cousins, and as you can imagine, many future nephews and nieces who became close to his heart. As you can imagine, there was hardly a toy you could call your own Joe with all its accessories, and he kept it in pristine condition. This would resonate through his life, and the constant, immaculate attention he would give to them. When the family lived in Claremont, he attended Weinberg Boys along with his brothers. His attention to books was always overshadowed by his love for working with his hands, and he longed for some freedom, leaving school as soon as he could. In 1973, at the age of 17, he joined Telkom, where he then thrived when given the freedom to move between exchanges rather than sitting behind a desk or in one place. He befriended colleagues in both Cape Town and Johannesburg, which became lifelong friends, over the 28 years he worked there. Showing how he valued loyalty above all. He shared many a hike, Fish River Canyon or Titicaca Trail, sporting event, or Friday afternoon rise with the teams. Often they could be found at Bunch of Grapes or any one of the pubs along the main road well before knock-off time, with both the jokes and beers flowing. It was a different time back then. Later on, enjoying his time in the medical equipment field and retiring from Topstones 7 years ago, but always liking the challenge of problem solving and especially solving the problems with his hands through his working career. In 1977, he married my mother, Lynette. After telling her he would marry her on their very first encounter. Some would say her calmer, more calculated demeanor would balance off his wilder, more carefree love for life. They moved into a flat together before settling in to their first house in Pluto Road, Plumstead, and started a family in 1981. He embraced my mother's family as his own. And he intertwined in their lives over the years to come. Their Pluto house was easy to spot, as my father was always on the corner or in the garden, not doing garden work, doing some woodwork project or spraying one of his cars. Yes, he was very upset when cars stopped rusting, as well as when 8-track systems couldn't be reinstalled. This is where Dion from across the road was fascinated with the activities going on and often came across to help out. My parents had big dreams, and they were lucky enough to travel the world, setting foot on every inhabitable continent. My mother enjoyed the scenery, history, warm sandy beaches, while Quinny, on the other hand, was the one drinking the snake blood, eating the local delicacies with no hesitation, having the samurai split the watermelon on his stomach, sitting on the live hammerhead shark when he mistook the locals' warnings for excitement, and always ensuring the travel group was in stitches with his jokes and antics. Given a choice between Paradise Island or Super Paradise Island, you know which one he would choose, often leading to the best adventures and memories on these trips. Some of the highlights of his travels included the trips to historic European cities or exotic Asian countries with our children, then later visiting friends or traveling with family to Canada, America, Australia, as well as visiting his brothers Malcolm and Barry with their families in New Zealand. He made every trip an adventure, and there would be a list of attractions and activities to explore or experience, often fitting in more in a few days than what locals did in a lifetime to experience their own cities. Quinton would always be the one picked for the demonstration or as the comic relief at these tourist attractions. If it wasn't for his loud shirt, long curly hair, prominent moustache, or well-placed comments that got his attention, he was the one waving his hand to volunteer. This always ended in the most memorable experiences and legendary stories. After their travels and my birth, Quinton's next big project, and Quinton always had a next project, was his dream house. It had to have a fantastic view of his favorite pastime, the mountain. So he built his dream house at 28 Eddie Place in the Constantia Valley, watching over every brick and design. The key to any project undertaken by my father was that it had to involve his hands. It needed to have a long to-do list, intense planning, celebration of success at about 90% completion, and always had a phase 2 or enhancement that never seemed to start before the subsequent project had already been in production. My father lived at 28 Ely Place for close on 3 decades, and in that time befriended neighbors, even with direct gates onto their properties. He enjoyed many a party or family function. You may not have known, but he was part of the neighborhood crime watch, which was a bit of an enigma, given that our house had the least security on the block, and often our front door was just left wide open. I think he just enjoyed the year-end parties and the camaraderie. While my childhood was somewhat foreign to my father's in terms of his upbringing, he tried to get involved wherever he could. Be it as the scout troop leader, where sometimes I thought he was enjoying the activities more than me, or trying his best at backyard cricket bowling action. His technique could only be described as a combination between Brett Schultz's aggression and Paul Adams' action. Needless to say, Ken, our neighbor, had many a cricket ball grace his garden. I too went to Weinberg Boys, and those boys, those brothers in an endless chain here today will recall the teacher Forbes Smith in junior school, who never really seemed to age. Upon meeting me, he promptly gave me a knuckle slice with a ruler. And when I inquired what it was for, He said it didn't matter whose son I was. He owed all the Pike's boys one. Then when he knew my father was Quinton, he recalled that my father had his head out the window more than in the book and never cut his hair short. No matter how I begged my father that year, he walked into the next teacher-parent meeting with shoulder-length hair just to prove a point that now he was free. Little known fact is how many times my parents got called to the principal's office during my school career. Many times just harmless fun, but every time when my father walked in, looking like he had just walked off a set of Magnum PI or MacGyver, he never scolded me and often held back a smirk or two once he found out what had unfolded, like a comedy of errors or series of unfortunate events. However, he got me back when he got a red card at one of my hockey games for heckling the umpire from the side of the field for foul tackles. The principal said he couldn't punish my dad, so I had to attend the next 3 Saturday detentions on his behalf. The trust formed allowed me to ensure that no matter the circumstances I found myself in, and there were too many to mention, I could always call home. And this proved very valuable before Uber or cell phones. When Ryan came into our lives, my father again stepped up and often joined social groups or the special needs school's parent body. He was the one bringing a long list to the AGMs, so it was a natural selection. His weekend to-do list was infamous in our family and always started on a Saturday morning. He would do at least a page of to-do items. It would always start with the first point: draw up weekend to-do list. Next point: find old list from last weekend. Then it would move to household chores, often splitting up the cutting of the grass into sections or quadrants to make it sound like more work. Also, always a new project or addition. Also, always a new project or addition to his car was added. However, the standard reward actions were on, and usually meet the boys for rugby on a Saturday afternoon, braai, or Sunday morning hike. Unlike the household chores, the reward points were always ticked off the list. And so the cycle continued week on week. We always look forward to the parties, or he always will look forward to the parties, weddings, definitely the bachelor parties, milestone celebrations, and family functions. He would often be the one braaiing, demonstrating a joke, recalling a funny story, doing the Russian squat dance on the empty dance floor before anyone else started, rounding up everyone for the locomotion, putting on the strobe light, or just being the loudest person at the party. Often doing impromptu speeches that no one asked for, or interrupting someone else's speech with some chirps. As many can attest, he was often stubborn, tenacious, strong-minded, voiced strong opinions on subjects, which he seemed to always blame being born a Taurus. So it was a take it or leave it was his motto. Somehow, no matter how he rubbed someone up, his boyish charm never made it stick, and it was back to the celebrations in no time. When he was not thinking up a new project, hiking a mountain, tackling his to-do list, he was dreaming of his motorhome and the dirt roads less traveled in South Africa. After all his international travels, he was still a son of African soil, come rain or shine, just like today. And he loved spending time on the road and using his motorhome to visit friends and family, as well as seeing as much of South Africa or Southern Africa as he could. sometimes loving the planning of the trip just as much as the trip itself. You may have seen his homemade sticker on the back of the motorhome, making the circle bigger. My father was a rock for my mother in the last 2 years of her life and bitter struggle with cancer. He may have surprised most over the past 7 years with his commitment to caring for my brother on his own, but I always knew he would do a fantastic job and had the inner strength. In his last chapter, he wanted to move towards the sea and away from the mountain views. But only he would find the house on top of the hill in West Beach, just a stone throw away from the ocean. He did, however, reduce his to-do list by buying a house with not one stretch of grass, but filled the void with new projects to tackle, like building a new kitchen and celebrating his 70th milestone last year. He also found Elmarie just short of a year ago, and I thank her for making the time they spent together so special. Elmarie, I'm deeply sorry. That your time together was cut so tragically short. Some other little-known facts about my father was he wrote articles that featured in Reader's Digest. The Caravan SA magazine. He crocheted when no one was looking. If you were lucky enough, you experienced his mean mince pie. He didn't do a lot of cooking, so it surprised most. He may have said he hated pets and never wanted them, but when no one was around, they would engulf him on his request. He would shed a tear in sad movies. Anyone that met him for a short while would remember him fondly as a character. He never took life so seriously and would say yes no matter what. He never meant ill for anyone and embraced all cultures. If you were his neighbor, you had no choice in the matter. You were going to be lifelong friends. Some of those friendships spanning over 50 years. He would always bounce a beer, no matter if it was the last one left. He never lost his childhood sparkle and enjoyed when the grandchildren, Thomas and Megan, arrived. And he often seemed to have more fun at their birthday parties than the other kids. He may have come to the end of his dash in life earlier than he or we expected, but he made every second count in between in his own way and enjoyed every second he spent in your company. Okay. So although he never got to everything on his to-do list, and he never did, he made certain he crossed out all the important ones worth living for, and he would wish the same for you. He now joins those that precede him, and I'm sure they welcome him with open arms and fond memories to rekindle. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gav. I appreciate that. So beautiful to share some of your memories, and now I can see where you get the heckling from. And we'd like to ask Dion if you'd be so kind to come and share with us.
where this is going. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dion Smith. Quinton was my best friend and will always be my best friend. I was one of his best friends. He always used to say, Smith, you're my best friend. But then when he saw one of the guys in the pub, hey, my best friend, how are you? So I never really understood why he called me his best friend. But anyway, yeah, if I'd made notes of my life with Quinton, I think I would have walked from the car and I would have got to the pulpit and the pages would still be coming through the door. So I'm basically just going to talk off memory and the love that I had for Quinton. Gavin actually got this story wrong. The way I met Quinton was that he was away in Johannesburg doing some course or something for Telkom. So as he told, my bedroom was upstairs. And so I saw this lady like on the grass with a lawnmower and trying to start this lawnmower, but she couldn't get this lawnmower started. So I thought, okay, fine. Anyway, then I was on my way to a hockey match at school as well. So I thought, okay, well, let me stop and help her. So I stopped my 50cc out the gate. I said, excuse me, ma'am, can I perhaps assist you with the lawnmower? She said, yeah, that'll be great, because my husband's coming home this week, and I need to mow the lawn, because he's going to be upset if the lawn's not mowed. So there's me. I got off my bike, took my helmet off, and walked over to the lawnmower, and I thought to myself, no, I don't know how to start these things. Because Pike was the only oak who had the best of the best always. When it came to tools, lawnmowers, etc., we had one of those old-fashioned Rolex Magnum lawnmowers, which was easy to start. It had a little thing on the side. You open that and you pull the lever, and the thing started. Quinton Pike had a Rolls Royce. I didn't know where to start. So now I was thinking to myself, how can I embarrass myself by offering to start the lawnmower when I don't know where to start? Anyway, I managed to eventually get the lawnmower started. Lynette said, thank you very much. I said, it's a pleasure. Got on my bike and off I went. Anyway, we didn't become friends straight away, but I mean, I always used to watch Quinton come home, particularly see park his car in the garage. And the one day I just went over to Quinton. I said, hi, my name's Dion. What's your name? He said, no, my name's Quinton. I said, man, thanks. I believe you helped my wife start the lawnmower. I said, yeah, no, it was only a pleasure. Anyway, so that's where we actually became friends. From that moment on, we just clicked. And every single week, every Friday, well, throughout my high school career, we were quite a naughty bunch, naughty Weinberg boys, very naughty. And I think when we got to around about 7 and 9, we always used to have a get-together at our house. And it started off initially with like Sprite and Coke and snacks and all that type of thing. So when we got to standard 9, we used to go to the local bottle, 5 litre of sugar cask. So Quinton used to come home on a Friday afternoon. Guys and girls, close your ears. Don't follow my footsteps. On a Friday afternoon, Quinton used to come home, and I used to be like, Quinton. You know, Lynette used to be pushing Gavin in the pram, and off she would doodle, and he'd say, 5 minutes, okay, cool. Then Quinton used to come across, and then the party was on. Because one of the guys' name was Derek Guest, and he was our local DJ. He used to bring his hi-fi down to the house, and he used to set up the hi-fi in the yard, and and the party was on. Anyway, so when we got to matric, then we sort of spread our wings a little bit, had our afternoon party, and then came the big thing. We had to now get permission from Lynette for Quinton to take us to the Sportsman Bar in Newlands, in matric. So Quinton used to say to me, Dion, you go ask Lynette if I can take you guys. I said, but Quinton, I can't ask her. You ask her. He said, no, you ask her. She'll say yes to you. She'll say no to me. Anyway, I'd go into Lynette and say, Auntie Lynette, can Quinton please take us out tonight? She says, Dion, you know that you're only 17 years old. You shouldn't be going to places like that. I said, yeah, but it's fine. I mean, we're almost 18. Meanwhile, it was only the following year, but it was... Anyway, so obviously then Lynette used to say yes, and then off we'd all... So you had a little Mazda 323. It was a small little... it used to be named Pixie. And anyway, so we all bundled into the 323, and off we toodled to the Sportsman Bar, have a fantastic time, and then around about 11:30, Quinton say, come guys, we must hit the road back home. So anyway, we used to toodle off home, and the one time we went there, and that's why I say, stronger together. Quinton, we went stronger together, because Quinton Pike, in that sense, was the worst friend in the world. This guy didn't have an aggressive bone in his body. So the one Friday night, so we had already finished matric, and we were just having a total celebration. So we go into the sports and the normal story. And just with my luck, it was always me. I mean, I must have it on my forehead, please look for nonsense with this guy. Biggest oak in the place, I always had to pick on the biggest oak. Anyway, so needless to say, we got into a bit of fisticuffs. Out the door, down the alleyway, there was some guy's car. We fell over the car, and the guy's the wing mirror got broken off. Anyway, so this guy eventually, obviously being bigger than me, he's busy smashing my head on the ground. So Quinton says, hey, don't smash his head on the ground like that, man. So I said, Quinton, can't you help me? He says, no, you're on your own. Every time. So needless to say, we're not stronger together, never, not with Quinton Pike around. And I mean, I've only got fantastic memories about old Quinny. His name is Quinton, his name is Quinny Babes, whatever. I mean, and so that was the sort of the schooling career. And then, when it came to him building his house in Constantia, that was his pride and joy. I mean, you never saw that oak on a weekend. He was always down in Constantia building his famous house. I think I went down there 2 or 3 times, but I was always playing sport on weekends or braaiing or whatever. So we never saw Quinny. During the week, he was always home doing all his chores at home, but weekends, it was early place, all the way, building his beautiful home. And then, of course, Gavin had already been born, obviously, so he was a little toddler. And then my ex-wife and Lynette fell pregnant at the same time. And then we were blessed with the arrival of my daughter, Melissa, and blessed with the arrival of Orion Pike. And then we spent a lot of time together, just the 4 of us, and obviously with the kids and that, and we were always, and Gavin, by that stage, had shot up, something similar to now, where the youngsters are taller than what I am. And Gavin was, I think you were at Weinberg Boys High, and in the back garden there was this little tree, and that used to be our wickets. So Gavin used to love batting, Quinton used to love bowling, and I used to love fielding. So needless to say, I was always fielding. But anyway, so the one day Quinton says, no, he's gonna bat. So the whole thing was you had to stand by the tree, and then you had to run to a point, and then come back to the tree. Needless to say, Quinton hits the ball, runs, but he runs out, and when he comes back, he takes the tree out the ground. So that was it was such a classic, I promise you now. That was like also one of the memories. And then, of course, all the parties at any place. Quinton was always happy when there was a game on, or any excuse for Quinton to have a braai or a party. He was in his element, you know. As we all know, that's the way Quinny Babes was. And another special memory of Quinton, when I started work, when I came out the military, I started work at Western Province Sodas, and so I got tickets from the breweries, and so we used to go to the game, you watch the game, and then you come back to. They had a pub called the Letterstead, which was like only for VIPs and invited people. So because Quinton was my +1, we were obviously going to be going together. So I said, Quinny, when we get there, please, no noise, no jokes, no dancing, whatever, please, because this is my work people now. Okay. Well, by the time we got there, Quinton was already about 8 drafts down. Needless to say, Quinton was sliding down the banister, going. So I'm saying, Quinton, please don't. Come on, just keep it calm, man. But anyway, needless to say, he was the life of the party at the Letterstead, and every time I got invited, the rep always gave me another ticket for Quinton. He just bring your buddy with you because that looks at all. So yeah, and then of course a very sad moment in our lives was when Lynette was diagnosed with breast cancer. It was really a trying time for everybody. A stronger woman I've never known in my life. Till the day that she left us, she always had a smile on her face. She never ever complained. Rest in peace. And we do miss Lynette. Moving along, Quinton. There was not a thing that scared Quinton to do. Like he used to run biathlons with me, the Olsen's biathlon when it was happening. He was very proud. Quinton was 10 years older than me, to be exact, and he was very proud on the day that we did our first biathlon together that he actually beat me. And he was very proud of it, and he just used to rub it in all the time. I beat you, and you're 10 years younger than me. I said, oh, well, that's fine, Quinny. And we went on many hikes together, especially the one we did it's a thing called the Suicide Trail. And we did it 3 times together. The first time was fantastic. It was just him and I and another gentleman. And then the second time we did it, Ken, sitting over there, he also did it with us. And I think that was the time where we actually got lost. Quinton got us lost. And I went to Quinton, I said, Quinton, we lost. He says, no, we're not. We're just taking a bit of a detour. I said, no, Quinton, we lost. So I think it was like a 3-hour hike, and it took us like 4.5, 5 hours. But we eventually got back to the car. But Ken, I think he'd like to forget that one, because it's Quinton and myself, we nearly wet ourselves out. Well, we're soaking wet because you do cliffing, so you go off the cliff, you land in the water, and you swim out. Anyway, so Kenny was the last one to jump. So Kenny jumps, but I don't know what happened. Mid-air, he catches a speed wobble. And all you saw was legs. Next minute, you just see, this oak lands on his back, okay? His cap comes off. So Quinton shouts to Ken, Ken, your cap. Kenny says, boop, boop, the cap. I'm going out here. So he left his cap in the pond, but that was really a classic memory with Quinton. Yeah, so I mean, I can go on and on here the whole day, which I don't want to, but to table view, it was very nice, because I mean, him and I, we spoke every single day on the cell phone and face to face. It was always a video call. Or he used to come, we used to take Ryan to school. We called it school, but it's actually like a little college thing there for Ryan. He always used to pop in for his morning rusk. He loved his rusks. And if there was leftover food, I always used to dish him up a plate of food. And he used to thoroughly enjoy his food. I promise you, I don't know if it was because he couldn't make the food as good as my wife does, but he used to enjoy his cossies. And our daily chats were always like, it was fantastic. And when Quinton used to phone, obviously you'd pick up and we look at each other. He'd say, hey, Smith, how's it? I said, no, it's fine. And he'd say, how's your mother? Okay, excuse me, but this is the way it was, Quinny. How's your mother? I said, no, sorry, pal, she's dead, eh? I said, Quinny, how's your mother? No, she's dead as well, eh? Sorry to hear that, Quinny, man. Sorry, man. And then we also had a signal, because Quinton and myself, we used to use bad language in our conversations. So we had the signal that we used to signal to each other, that if you were in company with your girlfriend or me, Lynn, we used to signal to each other. We had the signal. Okay, I can't show you, but let me just tell you, it takes 2 fingers and a thumb to show the sign. So that's how we used to signal to each other. We got a woman or somebody in the company that you mustn't use bad language. So, yeah, and Quinton and myself spent a tremendous amount of time. He wouldn't want me, which I have done over the past 3 weeks, shed a tear. He wouldn't have wanted it, but it's been very tough. He was more than a friend. He was my brother. He was my father. He was my everything. And it'll never change. It'll never go away. And just having Ryan here today, and Gavin, thank you so much for allowing me to express a few words for your dad. He was a champion of a man. There wasn't a better friend. I mean, Quinton used to, he's done, when it comes to projects, I don't know how many projects he made Lynn's house, our house, a project. He built a step. He fixed the washing machine. He put up an awning over the back garden. He says, come on, Smith, man, because there was like reeds, but they were like old, and he says, come on, Smith, man, let's make a project out of this, man. Needless to say, 5 hours later on the ladder, but we had an awning over our backs going out to the pool. And so, I mean, there's only good memories of Quinton. We had a lifetime friendship. It was 45 years strong. It was the longest roller coaster ride that I had, because there was only ups. There was only 2 downs, and the one was when Lynette passed, and the second one was when he passed. And my life will definitely not be the same without my good friend Quinton. And yeah, the good thing about our friendship was that we was very sincere to each other. It was we never lied to each other. We never kept secrets from each other. He always said to me, Dion, you and I will stay best friends for the rest of our lives, because I can't be a bad friend for you, because you know you got too much on me. So we can't be bad friends and we can't argue. So hence, till today, Quinton and myself never had a bad word or a strong word to say to each other. We've had like direct challenges. Like the one day I phoned him, I said, Quinton, I've broken down. I'm in Century City. Please, can you come tow me in? He said, sorry, pal, I don't tow. I said, what do you mean you don't tow? He said, no, I don't tow. I said, but Quinton, you go driving in mountains. What happens if you break down? He said, no, that's different. Then I can tow. so there I was stuck, phoning my wife, getting our insurance to come and tow me in. So that was another memory. Another thing is that I actually made Quinton tell me that he loved me. Because growing up, my parents never ever showed any kind of, we didn't have an affectionate childhood. And I think the same was for Quinton. And I think there's always been a stigma, if one guy tells another guy, then you're a morphie or a gay or whatever. That's a lot of nonsense as far as I'm concerned. And to the younger people, please, while have you got your parents around, or your brother or your sister, or anybody, even your friend, please tell them that you love them. Because Quinton, I used to tell Quinton every single day when he phoned me, I used to say, Quinny, I love you, babe. And he used to say, love you too. No, he first started saying you too. So I said, Quinton, you too's a band. Tell me you love me. Okay, man, I love you. I said, cool. And then from that day on, every single conversation, it was always ended off with I love you. And I think it's a very important thing, especially with the loss that we've all experienced now, to take that home. That's my message for today, is don't forget to tell people that you love them. Because it might be too late one day, and you might be standing where I'm standing, if you don't tell those people that you love them. So please. And also, there's quite a few people here today that I don't know, and I'm sure there's people that you don't know. And when you have an opportunity, please introduce yourself to one another. And because I'm sure Quinton would love for all of us to get to know one another. So Quinny babes, I think I've overstayed my welcome up here, my friend. Just one thing which I want to tell you about. So the Smith's house was something similar to the Pike's house. When you came there, it started off tidy, and by the end of the evening, it was untidy. So the reason why I've got this here, okay, so our parties used to end off in hat parties. Needless to say, this was Connie Baby's go-to cap. He always used to end up with this thing on his head, dancing around like a lunatic or whatever. So this, I will treasure for the rest of my life as well. And of course, this was Quinton's drinking glass at my house. He says, Smith, I don't like these draft glasses, man. I said, Quinton, that is a draft glass. It's a 500 ml. He said, yeah, but I can hold it nicely like this, you know. So this was my best friend's drinking glass. So, Quinny, yes to you, my good friend. Love you, always will. Nothing will ever change. We'll take care of Ryan like you did. And thank you once again, Gavin, for the opportunity. If I've missed anything out, please excuse me. And from Dion Smith, love you all. If I don't know you yet, I still love you. And please remember that. Don't ever forget. Tell the person, tell your family, tell your friends you love them. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Dion. That was really lovely. And let me say on behalf of all of us, we love you too. With the joy now of asking Nigel, Quinton's brother, to come and share with us. Thanks, Nigel.
You know, Dion, Quinton used to say to me, you hate me. You ended off with, I love you. And I used to say, yes, I hate you. But we knew it was the opposite. I'd like to thank you all for coming here and celebrating Quinton's life. It means a lot to me. And thank you, Gavin, for the wonderful words that you have given us about your father. I think you have basically with all the words you've summed up my brother Quinton. His friendship I've had for almost 70 years. I'm trying to fight back. I did write something here, but it's all been said about my brother. He just has a way of getting into your heart. He was a person that I grew up with, and he helped me along my journey right through my schooling. And in fact, he was a year up on me. I was in standard 4 when my brother failed, and that was the best thing that happened to me, because I stepped up to standard 5 and he was joining me in standard 5, and we fortunately were in the same class together. And I stayed with him for 4 years until he decided in his wisdom that he was going to leave school in standard 8. But during that 4 years, one of the things that we managed to, and we didn't know at the time, it just happened that we both decided, because of who Quinton is and because of my father being in the woodworking industry, we kind of gravitated towards woodwork. So one of our subjects was woodwork. And I remember on a Friday afternoon, we had an assignment. We had to do drawings for the Monday. And I was a procrastinator. Quinton wasn't. But I did it on purpose because Quinton loved doing the drawings, figuring it out, how the dimensions go and everything. And that wasn't my part that I liked. So what I did is I waited for him to do the drawings on the Friday afternoon, and he did it particularly on a Friday afternoon so he could have a jaw on this Friday evening. With me, I waited until Sunday, being a procrastinator, Sunday evening. But I had a plan. I would get his drawings and look at them and say, okay, that's how you do it. And I would then easily copy almost. But where he made mistakes, and with every mistake that you make, and if you rub it out, it gets a point against you when you're marked. And so I didn't have any rubbing out because I managed to copy what he did. So he loved that part of it, and together we basically excelled in woodwork for the 4 years that I was with him. I think that started my connection with him as a brother, and he loved, although he's got this mindset of, sometimes he knows better. We would have little bantering and arguing. I think deep down he enjoyed the discussions that we had in the beginning on the Friday about the drawings. That made it easier for him, and that continued in my life. Although there was quite a few years when he left standard 8, and I went on to matric. I missed those times, so now I had to learn how to do the drawings on the Friday. So I started doing it on the Friday. I think what I learned from him was just do it, And because I often used to ask him, how did you manage to figure that out? He says, it's a case of elimination, process of elimination. because I was always in awe with his ability to tackle a job, not having a cooking clue what he's actually working with, but somehow he manages to figure it out and fixes it. I was totally in awe with that. I mean, an example quite recently was he came to visit me in Mossel Bay, and I said that my microwave is packed up. So he said, let's have a look at it. He was, like Dion said, he was always game. If he came to visit, you had to put a project for that day, because otherwise he feels like he's done nothing. He has to achieve every day, and I admired that. And then there was often a time that I would say, no, we're not doing projects this weekend or whatever. But he managed to fix the microwave. And I said, how did you? He says, I've been working on these things for years, man. You know, it's easy peasy. And even with motor cars, I mean engines, I would not. Sorry, I'm packing this way because everything's been said on it. I don't know anything about motor mechanics, but he didn't know either. But he teaches himself, and that's was so great about Quinton. I mean, but just on a funny side, Dion mentioned that he got lost hiking. Well, before I say that, Quinton was, whenever he did a project, I don't know if he did a project because he at the end of the day, and the project was done, he says, okay, now it's time to be rewarded. It's reward time. And I knew exactly what reward time was. So out with the beers, and that was tongue-in-cheek, but it's, maybe we should all reward ourselves for a day's work that we do, or a kind deed that we do. Quinton was always up for anything that anybody that needed him, he was there in the front. He says, how can I help? Where he got the time from, I don't know. But he was like a Duracell bunny, always on the go. And whenever he visited me, he had to do a project. So the one day I said, you know what, I'm going to reward you. So I said, I'm going to take you to Graskop in Mpumalanga. We're going to do the 5-day Fani Buerta hike. And so, of course, he's not going to question that. He's in the car before I can even see it. So we went up to, and it's a 5-day, and so on the first day we got there, he said, okay, let's just do a 1-day hike, just to get our bodies moving, and as a starter. So the trail was that you follow a luri sign, because luris were prevalent in that area. So we start the hike, and he gets to the first sign, and he says, here's it. It's on his map, because he was a stickler for drawing out, and he color codes everything, and he knows exactly where he's going. So he gets to the first sign. We said, no, definitely that way. So we go on that way, and for a long time we said, wait a moment, I think something's wrong here. So Quinton, he doesn't like to be told that he's doing something wrong, or he's made a mistake. So he eventually admits that he looked at the map again, and he realized that there was one color for the day trip and another color for the 5-day. And we picked the 5-day on the first day. So Quinton doesn't like to be really angry with himself, or admit that he's made a mistake, because it's kind of demeaning. So, and of course in front of his younger brother, he doesn't want to show that. So he says, it doesn't matter, let's just carry on. Let's just carry on. He doesn't know where he's going, and it's getting dark now. So we arrived at the first rest hut in the dark. We hadn't eaten. We were low on alcohol. Well, I think we only had one bottle of whiskey, and because he was planning on replenishing after the one day, but now we're stuck on a 5-day. So the best moment I ever had with Quinton was that night. We stood around a boma on our own. The hut could take probably about 30 people, and we couldn't see down the length of the building because it was so dark. We just said, no, we're not going to stay here because we didn't know if there's anybody, lurking around. So we decided to go to the boma, set up this fire, and they had a huge stack of firewood, obviously for the 30 people that they were planned for, but we were only 2. So we burnt that firewood out the whole night. We finished the bottle of whiskey, and we said, now what? We just looked into that fire, the 2 of us, and we just sat in silence for a long time. And it was a special moment. I didn't know whether he enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed it. Years later, he said to me, he has very good memories of that time we spent. I was hoping I wasn't going to get down to this. Let me tell you a funny story. Perk me up a bit. Quinton, I think it was last year, he bought himself, and I think Dion would know, he bought an inflatable kayak. So now he wants to test this out. So he had this brilliant plan of, let's go down memory lane. And so I said, oh, what memory lane is that? Because you've got so many memories with each other. And he said, no, when we were a child, we used to, my grandfather had a plot of land on the banks of the island lake in the wilderness. And each year we used to go there for camp. We used to camp on there for Christmas and sometimes even Easter. And we would take the boats out onto the lake, and that's how our childhood, we had fond memories of that. So he says to me, let's go back there and take my kayak and we can go on the lake. So here he is, we arrive at the plot. We can only see that it was the same plot because of a few rocks that were sticking out. Everything was overgrown otherwise. And so we set up, he sets his kayak up. Now he's got because it's an inflatable, he has to blow it up. So here he is pumping. He says, hey, you can also help, eh? So we pump this thing up, and we go onto the water and we start paddling. And I said, I don't think you pumped it up enough. The weight of the 2 of us, because I think he was used to just him being in the kayak. So with me being in it as well, it slowly started sinking. So that kind of ended that fun day, but we had a special moment there to talk about our childhood, which was great. Another amusing story I found it amusing. I was fortunate enough to join Quinton and Lynette and you, Gavin, and Ryan, to go to see my brothers in New Zealand. Okay, the funny story, because otherwise I'm going to. Quinton he's game for anything, and that's what I loved about him. Although he's a completely different character to me, he brought out the fun. We had met up with Barry and my sister-in-law Pat and Malcolm, my brother, and his wife Irene. And we didn't know what really to do that afternoon because they were just, chilling. So Quinton, Africa, that was quite something. That's what I remember. There was one other. There's just so many times that I shared with Quinton that I will sorely miss. Like Dion, I mean, where do we go from here, Quinton's always got that smile. I used to often tell him I love him, but now that he's gone, maybe it wasn't enough. Quinton, we'll always miss you. I think he touched everybody's heart that he came in contact with. And, and there's been so many times that Quinton just wants to help people. I find that incredible with him. I think Quinton, I think we all love you, and we hope that you rest in peace, my brother.
Thank you so much, Nigel. It's a really heartfelt tribute. I'll ask Elmarie if you'll come and share with us.
I just want to start off by saying, Gavin, your father loved you. He was very proud of you. And he was always saying, watch this boykie, he's going somewhere. Ronnie Pops, Daddy loves you a lot until his dying day. You couldn't have asked for a better father. Then John, Quinton is smiling because you're wearing the right t-shirt. Okay, this is going to be hard, but I'll try my best. Okay, this is for Quinton. I did not write it, but it's how I feel. The permanence of missing you. You are in a place I can no longer reach. No more laughter. No more hearing your voice call my name. And that really hurts. More than I can explain. It is hard to understand how someone who meant everything can now only live in memories. Every day I wake up carrying that missing piece. I don't know how to let go because you are a part of who I am. I miss you in ways that don't heal, and I love you in ways that never end. Okay, so this is how I remember Quinton. He was kind and caring, compassionate and passionate, humble, reliable and loyal, patient, especially with me, respectful, protective and dependable, a loving man with a good humor. He enjoyed a good braai and a joke. He was the soul of any party. Quinton loved the outdoors, and he had an adventurous spirit, a real love for life. He put energy into everything he did. The best DIY guy ever, a fixer and a doer. He took great pride in his work. He loved, Gavin, he loved making his to-do lists. And he ticked every single thing off once it was done. He was a man of his word, salt of the earth. He was my rock. So I just want to end off with one of Quinton's famous lines that Lynette and John, Marlene, you all know. Sorry for having a pulse. And then with that grin on his face, he'd say, joke, joke. That was my Quinton. Thank you all for loving him with me.
Thank you so much, Elmarie, and to everyone who's shared. We've got a couple of video tributes that we're going to share with you now. I think there are 4 of them. They've been filmed by the people who are sharing them, some of them on different orientations, but we're just going to watch them together and remember Quinton through their eyes.
Shiny the van is today. I must admit, I've never known a guy to focus the camera like Ken. I mean, he had the thing backwards. He was pointing the thing backwards. He had his own style. What? This reminds me of Big Brother, big time. Moggy. Stick your tongue out, Moggy. Stick your tongue out. Come on. Be brave. In the office there, eyes.
Smile. Smile. Your boy, Daddy.
Look at Ken. Look at Ken.
Look at Ken. Ken. Ken.
Look at, hey,
oh,
Ken,
you missed that.
Look at what Lynette's eating. 3,000 calories.
Hi guys. Hi guys. The Cunninghams, Gareth and Haley, all the way from Australia. We just, obviously we got the news about 2 weeks ago with regards to Quinny, and we just want to send our sincere condolences to Gavin, Pam, Ryan,
the kids,
the
grandkids, the extended family,
the Pikes, everybody, the friends. We know Quinny was much loved by all of us, and we wish we could be there just to celebrate the life of Quinton. We're going to miss you, Quinny. Can't believe it. It was such a shock to us. I just can't imagine how it must be to everyone back in South Africa. Quinny, I don't know where to start. I just picture this happy guy, best looking 70-year-old that I knew. I mean, Quinton looked great for his age. Personality, I think he was...
good old 32.
32, sometimes going on 21. So in my mind, Pike had so much more life in him, so much to give still. And it made me realize that life is short and, can change in a matter of days, seconds, and obviously made me think about all the great times that I had with Quinton over the years. I've known Quinton my whole life. He's been there from the day I was born, and celebrated many milestones with me. It's been the Pike family, Quinton, everybody, Gavin, everyone's been an integral part of our family. And we've shared so many great milestones together: birthdays, weddings, bachelors, crazy bachelors. Quinton's always been there. Really always was, and always was the party guy, happy guy. Always brought the smiles, the laughs to the parties, we'll definitely miss that. Had some great stories to tell. Can't tell them all. As we got older, we kind of started really enjoying ourselves, and especially on the bachelors. And I think it was one day we were at home, and Quinton popped over, and the whole family popped over, but all of us boys were like, we need to watch some soccer at the waterfront. Quinton, you coming with? Quinton, not much of a soccer fan, said, well, I'll come for the party. So we went, well, Quinton, you got to behave. Soccer fans are quite fickle. If the team's not doing well, there's going to be drama. We can't have anyone, causing problems. Anyway, we had a couple of beers in us at Mitchell's, and next minute Quinton's running around screaming, "Skinny people rule." And that was back in the day when I was quite skinny. Everyone else was pretty skinny. And he thought it was quite funny. And I'll never forget that, running around waterfront Sunday, 3:00 in the afternoon. It was a funny and a great time. And there's been so many good laughs and so many just great times on the farm in Tilbach, and all those kind of experiences. And Quinton's been there. He's been there. I was there when my dad died. I can remember the day clearly. He took me for a steak to the Portuguese shop in Portuguese restaurant in Milnerton. We sat down. We had a steak. We had a whiskey, and it was. He just reminded me of all the great times that we all had together. He let me know that he'd be there for me, which I really appreciated. And it was I'm going to miss him, Quinton always came with a smile. He was always there to help the family out, help my dad out. The Cunninghams, we're not blessed with much craftsmanship. Our hands, I can maybe knock a few nails on the wall. My dad couldn't do that, so he always could give Quinton a call. Quinton, we need some help here with the plumbing, or can you come build us a cupboard? And it was never a chore for Quinton. He came over there, beer in the one hand and a hammer in the other, and a big smile on his face, cracking jokes. And that's how I'll always remember Quinton. Someone who's always willing to help, always ready to have a party and have fun and crack a joke. And some great times. And just gonna miss knowing he's not there anymore. And we shared a few voice notes while I've been in Australia, and I'll save them and cherish them. His voice was one of a kind. Always had a funny thing to say. He called me "G'day, mate" in Quinton's accent. From all of us, thought I'd share a few little snippets of our relationship with Quinton, and really gonna miss him. And Quinny, go and have a nice time with Auntie Lynette back in heaven, with my dad, Uncle Tony, the rest of the family that are up there. I'm sure you guys are all having a good time and a good party and smiling down on us. And we're just having a toast to your life. And I'm grateful that I was part of it. And wishing all the family a day to celebrate. We know Quinton, he would want us to celebrate and want us to have a whiskey and not take it too hard. To Ryan, to Gavin, to Pam, to the rest of the immediate fam, to Uncle Dion. I know you and Quinton were more than friends, you were brothers. I'm thinking of you guys. So to Quinton, cheers and talk to each other again. Ciao.
Hey everyone, it's Craig from Australia, the other Cunningham over here. We're just sending my condolences to everyone in Cape Town, Gavin, Pamela, Ryan and the family. It's going to be a sad day, but I hope it's a day that everyone celebrates the amazing life Quinton had and the large impact he had on everybody. And Quinton, he was a character of a guy, full of energy. Many a story starts with, do you remember that night out with Quinny? And I've definitely got a good few myself. But it was a shock to hear about Quinton's passing. And him and my mom have been really good and supportive for each other over the last few years. And definitely came as a big shock. But I hope everyone celebrates in true Quinton style today and tells a lot of stories and reminisces about all the good times they had with him. And to everyone in Cape Town, raise a glass. Cheers. And I hope Quinton, TC, Lynette, you're all up in heaven looking down at everyone and cracking a beer too and having a good few laughs.
I met Quinton in 1972 and he was the life and soul of the party. He was always getting up to nonsense and making jokes and trying to get his brothers to cooperate together, which was quite a difficult thing because a lot of the brothers weren't very interested in being, they just enjoyed fighting, I think. So Quinton was there trying to keep everybody in line. About a year later, when I married my husband, he thought he better tell his brother about how to dress fashionably. And he took him to Hepworth's, where they both worked part-time. And they bought my husband a suit. It was real wool, and it had sort of these huge checks and a bell-bottom Cambridge-type pants. And they were designed for Cape Town weather, not Zululand weather where we were getting married. So we arrived in Zululand, and the weather on our wedding day was about 34 degrees in the morning, and we got married in the afternoon, and by which time Quinton, AB and Barry were all sweating like you can't believe. Anyhow, we got into the church, and I noticed Quinton make sort of little gestures and bumping elbows with AB, and I looked to see what the funny part of the wedding was, and it was this huge white spider crawling across the cassock of the priest in front of us. And I don't know how Quinton didn't laugh out loud or make some comment, but he was very good. He behaved. Anyhow, he did manage to come on honeymoon with us for a short time. Yep, that was fun. And then over the years, we developed a really good relationship. And when my husband got cancer and his wife got cancer, we had a lot more in common. And Quinton would phone me and sort of say, how are you coping? And we would talk about how lonely it felt. And then when Quinton lost Lynette and I lost Barry, we would phone and chat. And he would ask me how I was doing and if I was coping. And I said, well, I'm actually very cross with Barry for leaving me to do all these things on my own. And he said, what things? And I said, well, like mowing the lawn. And he said, he says, I'll tell you what you do. You find a really good-looking young man to come and mow your lawns. And then he says, you can just look at him and, enjoy the view. So he had a really different way of looking at life. But I spoke to him about a month ago, and we had a good chat, and he was happy with how his life was going. He was happy with his sons and his lovely new partner. He was a very loving and caring brother-in-law to me all these years, and I will miss him. I will really miss his his sense of humour, and also his ability to make us all laugh, and he forgave us our sins. So I do hope that he's looking down now and looking down with pride at what his sons are doing, and looking down with happiness at what he has achieved in life. And thank you very much, guys, for including me in this funeral service. I appreciate it. Goodbye.
Precious memories together in our youth. Lynette was a saint and you were a clown, in the nicest way possible. We went through the wonderful years of trying to survive on telecom salaries, and Lynette and I being positive in our female contribution. We had our children and survived the ups and downs without losing contact. I will be forever grateful for that. I will cherish a memory of the last time you and Bernard were together before he died. You were like two naughty schoolboys out for the day. You had a wonderful time out for lunch, beers and chips at a well-known restaurant on the beachfront overlooking Table Mountain. Quinny always said to me that I have the beautiful beach, but Karen has the view of the mountain. Anyway, these two lovely hooligans came back to my son's house and raided his fridge for one more for the road. Hopefully they are both looking down on everyone today saying cheers. Thank you, Quinny, for your kindness, love, and everlasting joy. We're going to watch now a photo montage and just use that as an opportunity to remember these memories of Quinton together.
Hear the clock ticking on, losing sleep, losing track of the tears I cry. Every drop is a waterfall. Of the tears I cry, every drop is a waterfall. Every breath is a break in the real tide. Oh, how long has it been? I don't know, but it feels like an eternity since I had you here with me, since I had to learn to be someone you don't know. Be with you in paradise, what I wouldn't sacrifice. Why'd you have to chase the light somewhere I can't go? As I walk this world alone, as I walk this world alone. Another glimpse of what could have been, another dream of the way that it never was. Falling back in the wilderness, waking up, rubbing salt in the cut. Oh, how long has it been? I don't know, but it feels like an eternity since I had you here with me, since I had to learn to be someone you don't know. To be with you in paradise, what I wouldn't sacrifice. Why'd you have to chase the light somewhere I can't go? As I walk this world alone, as I walk this world alone. It's an endless night, it's a starless sky, it's a hell that I call home. It's a long goodbye on the other side of the only life I know. And it feels like an eternity since I had you here with me, since I had to learn to be someone you don't know. To be with you in paradise, what I wouldn't sacrifice. Why why'd you have to chase the light somewhere I can't go? As I walk this world alone, as I walk this world alone.
Hear the drums echoing tonight, and she hears only whispers of some quiet conversation. She's coming in 12:30 flight. The moonlit wings reflect the stars that guide me towards salvation. I stopped an old man along the way, hoping to find some old forgotten words or ancient melodies. He turned to me as if to say, hurry boy, it's waiting there for you. Gotta take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do. I miss the rains down in Africa. Gonna take some time to do the things we never The wild dogs cry out in the night as they grow restless, longing for some solitary company. I know that I must do what's right, sure as Kilimanjaro rises like Olympus above the Serengeti. I seek to cure what's deep inside, frightened of this thing that I've become. Gonna take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do. I guess the rains down in Africa. Gonna take some time to do the things we never had.
And I'd like to ask you to just stand with me as we read these closing words of remembrance for Quinton, and let's hold him in our hearts and cherish him. Quinton, you are so dearly loved. You are in our hearts and our minds, and we will carry you with us as we move forward with our lives. Everything you have done is still done. Everyone you love is still loved. Everything we've learned from you is still learned. And so we will let you pass from this world for which you did so much, for which you continue to do. Because when we walk this earth, we walk it with you. You leave us with the strength and the pride to do what is good and right. And your memory will guide us just as you did when you were at our side. And so for this, we say thank you and goodbye. Dearest Father, grandparent, partner, brother, cousin, and loyal friend. Friends and family, thank you so much for being with us together this afternoon to celebrate the life of Quinton, a man who lived life to its full, who loved much and has left his mark on all of us. And the family would love you to spend some time here, to share some stories and to enjoy some food and to celebrate as Quinton would have wanted. So there's some eats and drinks that are available on the side, and we'd love you to spend some time, and let's remember Quinton together. Thank you so much, everyone.